Since I made a video about a new reboot recently, I thought it would be interesting to make a video discussing anime reboots in general. In this video, I will describe several anime reboots and revivals. I will give a basic and very brief description of the premises of each franchise, because I don't want to analyze the plots of each of these series in detail in this video. This video is not going to be completely comprehensive, but I will arrange series in chronological order. Firstly, I should describe in general terms the definitions of a reboot and a revival. A reboot is a new adaptation of a story starting with a new continuality. A reboot is a new adaptation that starts a story over again from scratch. So any work where the story starts from the beginning again and discontinues the continualities of any older works is a reboot. So there is a clear difference between a reboot and sequels. However, that is not the case with revivals. A revival is a straight, direct continuation of a work's story after the original work's conclusion. Because revivals continue the original narrative completely, there is arguably not a clear distinction between revivals and sequels. A revival is arguably just a type of sequel, but not all sequels are revivals. Arguably, there is some vagueness in defining a sequel. This is not the case with works which are by nature standalone entities, like movies. With movies, there is a clear definition of sequels because a movie is a standalone work. It has one continuous run, and any additional production is, by definition, its own distinct thing and a separate work. With serialized multi-episode works, there is a vagueness in the definition. This is because series are already multiple separately contained episodes, so there is nothing that necessarily automatically differentiates additional episodes. There isn't necessarily a clear distinction between sequels and simply additional seasons of a show, so there is a vagueness in delineating sequels in and of themselves. The only distinction between revivals and other types of sequels that I can come up with is the length of time between the conclusion of the last work and the beginning of the revival. The first anime series to get a reboot was Astro Boy. Astro Boy is one of the more significant works in the history of anime and manga. The series was written by manga and anime pioneer Osamu Tezuka. Astro Boy is about a robot boy created by a scientist. The main character lives with humans and has to use his robot powers to save the day when problems occur in his various stories. The manga premiered in 1952 and ran into the 60s. The anime ran from 1963 to 1966. It was one of the first television animes and was produced by Tezuka himself. There were multiple reboots in the series. The first reboot was in 1980 and was done by Tezuka himself. He wanted to update the series to take advantage of the advances in anime production. The second reboot was in 2003 and was made by Tezuka Productions. It ran 50 episodes. Considering how impactful and important the series was, it's understandable how this work got multiple adaptations. In both cases, each new iteration of the series was roughly 20 years apart. Therefore, each new series could target a new generation. Next is Cyborg 009. Cyborg 009 was written by Shotaro Ishinomori. The series is about a group of people kidnapped by an evil organization and turned into cyborgs by them. The group of cyborgs escapes from the organization and fights against it. They try to thwart the organization's plans and ultimately defeat it. The manga ran from 1964 to 1981, and the anime ran in 1968. A second anime series ran from 1979 to 1980. The reboot was from 2001 to 2002 and was 51 episodes. The different anime series were roughly 20 years apart, much like Astro Boy. Doraro was also by Osamu Tezuka. The series is about a young boy born without limbs or any senses, and his friend Doraro, who travels with him. The boy is sent on a mission to defeat a group of demons who were responsible for his state. Upon defeating the demons, he regains his limbs and senses. The manga ran from 1967 to 1969. The anime ran in 1969. The reboot was in 2019 and was 24 episodes. The reboot was 50 years after the original anime. This is the second work of Tezuka to get a reboot. Somatsu was written by Fujio Akatsuka. The series is about the everyday lives of a group of 6 septuplet brothers. The manga ran from 1962 to 1969, and the anime ran from 1966 to 1967. A later anime ran from 1988 to 1989, and the most recent reboot ran from 2015 to 2021, and was 75 episodes. Again, there were 3 series, roughly 20 years apart each. Lupin III was written by Kazuhiko Kato. The work is about a thief and his attempts to steal various objects throughout his travels. The manga ran from 1967 to 1969. The anime aired on and off in various installments from 1971 to 1985. The reboot began in 2015 and has 72 episodes. There was roughly a 30-year gap between the 80s series and the 2020s reboot. Devilman is by Go Nagai. It is about a teenager who gains the power to transform into a devil and fights other devils. The manga ran from 1972 to 1973. The anime also ran from 1972 to 1973. A second anime was from 1987 to 1990. The reboot was released in 2018 and had 10 episodes. There was a 30-year gap between the most recent anime and the most recent reboot. Cutie Honey is also by Go Nagai. The series is about an android created by a scientist who is murdered. After that, she must use her android powers to avenge her father and defeat the evil organization behind his murder. The manga was from 1973 to 74, and the anime was on from 1973 to 74. The first revival was in 1994 and had 8 episodes. A second new anime reboot ran from 1997 to 1998 and had 39 episodes. Another was in 2004 and had 3 episodes. And finally, the most recent reboot was in 2018 and was 12 episodes. The series was revived or rebooted 4 times, once roughly every 10 years, on average. The gap between the anime and the first revival was 20 years. Yirusa Yatsera is by Rumiko Takahashi. The series is about a boy who must defeat a girl trying to invade the Earth in a game of tag. In the process, he accidentally proposes marriage to her. The manga ran from 1978 to 1987. The anime was broadcast on television from 1981 to 1986, though several episodes continued to be made for video until 1991. The reboot was in 2022, and will have at least 40 episodes. The gap between the series was around 30 years. Dragon Ball is by Akira Toriyama. The series is about a boy's quest to find a group of magical balls that can grant wishes when gathered together. The manga was from 1984 to 1995. The anime ran from 1986 to 1997. The reboot was from 2015 to 2018 and had 131 episodes. There was 17 years between the most recent anime and the revival. Saint Seiya was by Masami Kurumada. The series is about a boy who is searching for his missing sister. In the process, he's enlisted to fight various enemies. The manga was from 1986 to 1990. The anime was from 1986 to 1989. A sequel series ran from 2002 to 2008. Several other anime aired in the franchise, but they were spin-offs rather than direct continuations or reboots. A reboot series ran from 2019 to 2020 and was 12 episodes. There was a 10-year gap between the most recent anime and the reboot. Sailor Moon is by Nako Takuchi. The series is about a girl who is recruited to fight evil by a talking cat and teams up with a group of fellow protagonists. The manga was from 1991 to 1997. The anime was from 1992 to 1997. The reboot began in 2014 and has at least 39 episodes. There was a 17-year gap before the reboot. Neon Genesis Evangelion is by Hideki Anno. The series is about people who must pilot robots to fight off alien invaders. The series ran from 1995 to 1996. The reboot lasted from 2007 to 2021. The gap between the series and the reboot was about 10 years. Cardcaptor Sakura is by a group of writers called Clamp. The story is about a girl who releases a number of magical cards from a book accidentally. She is then tasked with recovering and capturing them. The manga ran from 1996 to 2000. The anime ran from 1998 to 2000. The revival was based on a sequel manga and ran in 2018. The revival had 22 episodes. The gap between the series was about 20 years. Hunter x Hunter was by Yoshihiro Togashi. The series is about a kid who trains to become a special type of elite professional called a hunter. The manga began in 1998. The anime was from 1999 to 2001. A sequel series ran from 2002 to 2004. The reboot was from 2011 to 2014 and was 148 episodes. There was a 7-year gap between the most recent anime and the reboot. Fruits Basket was written by Natsuki Takaya. The series is about an orphan girl who befriends a family that can transform into animals. The manga was from 1998 to 2006. The anime was in 2001. The reboot was from 2019 to 2021 and was 63 episodes. There was an 18-year gap between the first series and the reboot. Full Metal Alchemist was by Hiromu Arakawa. The series is about an alchemist who accidentally loses his brother in a failed alchemy experiment. In addition, he also loses an arm and a leg. The protagonist then journeys to try to bring his brother back to life. The manga was from 2001 to 2010. The anime was from 2003 to 2004. The reboot was from 2009 to 2010 and was 64 episodes. The gap between the series was 5 years.